What's up, everybody? This is BS for Build. I'm Chris, and we're here in the shop, and I'm super excited. It's almost time to paint. I gotta say, this is probably the most excited I've been for any part of this car project in a long time. So I'm really stoked. In the background over here, I don't know if you can see it, we've hung the window louvers. We've just hung them up by some ropes so I can paint those. In the back, those are just gonna get the base coat and stay flat. We've got everything else all set up. Sanded it down 400 and 600 off camera. It's been washed and cleaned. It's dried overnight. So the last thing that's left is I'm going to do the trim. I'm going to just the trim's kind of been through some heavy stuff with all the sanding and everything. So I'm going to go over it once with some good quality masking tape. Make sure I have good edges all around so I don't paint my windows or anything else like that. And then tack cloth this whole thing. And then it's time to paint. I'm super excited. I'm a little nervous, but I'm more excited because I got a lot of faith in this one. So stay tuned.
Alright guys, ground is wet, paint is mixed, cameras are on, fans in the window. We're ready to start painting. I'm really excited. I'm going to do some test sprays over here in a test area that I set up. Once I'm comfortable with how the gun's spraying, it's time to go. I'm going to start on the roof and work my way down. Alright, we got the base coat on. It took a while, I made one mistake and messed up the hood. Had to wait for it to dry, sand the hood, and repaint. But the base coat's on and it's dry. Let me show you around the car. So you can see it's really foggy in here. We got a fan running behind there. It's going to help pull some of the atomization out of the air. Here's the car. It's looking pretty good. The hood is really wet, that's why you can see the reflection. Had a little trouble managing wet edges, but overall, it's definitely the best paint job we've done. Alright, so we got to give everything a good 15-20 minutes to flash. During that time, I'm going to be cleaning out my gun, switching out my air filters, and getting ready to spray clear. Alright guys, we have a painted car. So far it's turned out to be the best paint job I've done thus far, which is a win in my book. So I'm really happy. The clear coat's still kind of leveling out. We did 3 coats of base and 2 coats of clear, and I did the clear on pretty heavy. Still learning, and unfortunately I got a couple runs in the clear coat. But you know, beginners, you're gonna make mistakes. So like I said, it's the best paint job I've ever done. So I'm happy, I'm calling it a win. I'm not going to end the video right here, so here's what I got to do. I just cleaned my gun. I'm going to step outside because these temporary respirators are apparently not very good for the type of paint I have. if you're doing this at home, make sure you get a brand new one of these every time you paint. So this is like my 4th one I've gone through doing this video, or this series of videos. Anyways, paint's gonna dry up a little bit, but and then at a certain time I gotta pull the masking tape off. You want to pull it off while the paint's still a little bit wet, but not fully hardened. Anyways, so I'm gonna hang around here, go outside, drink a beer, and wait for the paint to set up so I can pull the masking tape off. Okay, well on second thought, as you can see behind me, there's still a lot of particles in the air. So I've opened stuff up to get a little bit better ventilation, but I'm not gonna pull this tape off quite yet because I don't want all that those particles in the air to land on my windows. Actually, fuck it. I'm gonna pull just the windows off because the back stuff and the front stuff, that doesn't really matter. It's not close to the important paint stuff, so I'm gonna pull these windows off and then I'm gonna let the car just sit and dry. Alright, so the reason for doing that is because while the paint's still wet, it's a little bit more pliable and you can pull the paint away from the tape without it having like surface issues. So it's while it's wet, it'll separate a little bit easier and you can pull the tape off. And if you let it dry too hard, what can happen is the paint is hardened and it has adhered to the tape as much as it has to the car. When you pull the tape off, it doesn't know which way to go and sometimes it chips off of the car too much. So any place where you have kind of equal amounts of paint and tape just really butted up against each other, you want to pull that off. So I'm going to go ahead and do the other side and then I'm going to call it a day. We'll be back tomorrow to show you guys the results.
Alright guys, so we're back at the shop and I wanted to do something a little bit differently. I wanted to go look at the car and bring the camera with me so you guys could kind of see my reaction. So I haven't seen the car or any parts of the car since I left last night. The heaters are still on, the fan's still on, but last night we had a lot of rain, thunderstorms, and high precipitation levels, as well as it got really cold. It got down to 35. Which I know is not good for paint, but let's see how the car did. It's still shiny. That's a good sign. Here's some of our parts. So if we were going to get really bad blushing, it would be showing up here on the roof, and it looks like we're good. So there's some orange peel, you guys can see, but it's not that bad. It's really not bad. It feels great, man. The texture. Hi. It's kind of like a mirror. Best paint job so far. So there are some runs in the paint. Always a bummer. I'm a noob at painting, and that's going to happen when we need to let the paint dry a little bit more, and then I can get those out with a razor blade. So I'll be removing those about 24 hours after the paint is dried. There's a big run right there. That's one of the bad ones. Alright, so there's a couple more things that I want to do before we wrap up. I missed a spot with the clear on this side of the spoiler, so I'm going to mix up some clear and be spraying that. As well as I forgot that this is our top piece that I bought online that leads into our window louvers, and I want that to be the same color as the window louvers so I can hopefully kind of have a gradual transition into them. So this is actually really, really close. It's a flat black color that's very similar to that base coat black that I put on there, but I'm going to spray this as well. So we're going to be mixing up paint for the clear and the black and spraying these, but I want to do that very last. The other thing that I need to do is clean these windows. These windows have overspray from not this paint job, but paint jobs prior, and they kind of are foggy, so I'm going to use a little bit of a cleaning solution to clean those off. So I'm not sure the order that I want to do these in because I don't want to get any overspray on the back window, but it also needs to be cleaned. So I don't know, it's going to be a bit of a balancing act, but I'll get started on something pretty quick here. Alright, I got the window all cleaned up. The other one was a pain in the ass, so just a tip, if you get a car from any of the auction sites and they got the paint marker on them, get that off sooner than later, because leaving it on for a long time, it's really, really hard to get off. So the last thing that I want to do today before I wrap up is get these window louvers mounted. So I'm going to pull the paper off of here, wash this window, which is actually going to take a good amount of time because it's really dirty. I'm going to wash this window and then we're going to work on mounting the louvers. Alright, I got the window clean, so here's the game plan. The top piece is there, just sitting there. It's got double-sided tape already on the back. Came like that from the manufacturer. So I got the window louvers over there. So what I'm going to do is put my double-sided tape on both the sides of the window louvers, the sticky side, so stick that to the window louvers. And I'm going to very carefully move the window louvers over here, get them in place, and then tape them down and tape the top piece down. Alright, well, as you guys can probably see, the louvers are not playing nicely with this piece that I bought online. It just takes up a lot more real estate. It needs to kind of cover this whole area. So even if I trim these side pieces to be able to mount just this part, it would be kind of overlapping way too far. So I got some work to do there. I'm thinking what's going to be the most fun is to get some cardboard and build another piece out of metal rather than using this piece. So this is cool. It's cool to have, and I could always just put it on the other BRZ, and I think it would look cool. But so for now, these things are mounted up. They're really, really on there, which is really cool. And then after everybody winds so much, I'm gonna build in a backup safety measure over here. So give me 1 second. I'll show you that. Okay, so here's what I did with the window louvers to make them a little bit safer. So along this rail, I ran this rail extra long to be able to go down into the trunk further. So now when I close the trunk lid, it's going to close on top of it like that. So if they did want to fly off, they'd fly backwards because the car's going to move forwards. Then the other thing I did was I drilled a hole in the back of this thing, and I ran some of these new handy dandy beasts for build zip ties to this little guy, oops, in the back of the trunk. I called my rep at Subaru. They said that is specially there for BS for build zip tie mounting. That's why they engineered it that way. So anyways, I've done this on both sides. So if these things do come loose for any crazy reason, they're going to get stopped by these zip ties, and then obviously you'd have a chance to pull over to the side of the road and deal with it. Oh, and I will paint this, I promise. I just didn't get around to it this time. I got a couple more hours left before I gotta head out. It's time for a couple final touches before I call this a day. Alright guys, well my painting expedition is finally over. I'm very happy because it's something that I genuinely do not like doing, and in the future hopefully I'll be doing way less of it. Overall, it went well. I got the $500 paint job I was looking for. It just took like $1,500 to get there. But hey, it's all a learning process, and I spent the money so you guys could learn at home. So the idea, Eastwood Concours gun uses low CFM, so get that gun. It's a low CFM gun. It's basically like a big detail gun. It sprays like a detail gun, but it has the cap, or it has the cup and the other stuff like a full-size gun. Harbor Freight, $150 air compressor. Those two things are gonna cost you $300, and then you need $300 in paint, and you're there. So it's a $600 paint job. Well, you're gonna need some materials and some sanding paper. $600 paint job is the most budget paint job I could figure out how to do. It took me like lots and lots of days and a lot of different tries, but that's how I got there. I think you could actually also use that gun and just spray single stage paint, which would be about $100 cheaper, I think, and you'd probably get the same results. So that's what I learned. You know, it's like the money sucks to waste so much of it, and the paint job's not great at all. But you can't really replace the amount of bonding time that I've had with this car and the amount of like experiences that I've gone through with this car already. I've never even really driven it, but it's like the idea of getting rid of it, I could never get rid of this car anymore. Like, this car's always going to be mine. I was already thinking like earlier about the future for this car and what it'll be for me in 3 or 4 years or 5 years or whatever. I'm never going to sell it. It's always just going to be mine because I'm too close to it now. I've been through too much with it already, and I've never even driven it. So it's pretty amazing. Thank you guys very much for watching. Thanks for tuning in. If you want to help support our builds and stuff like this, head over to our shop at bsforbuild.com. We got hats, We got key tags, we got shirts, we got all sorts of good stuff. Oh, and coming out when this video comes out will be our zip ties. And I'm sorry the shipping is a little bit high on zip ties because they weigh a lot, but I hope you guys like the zip ties. I think they're pretty cool. It's pretty awesome to see a little BS for Build on zip ties, and we use them a lot, so it's very fitting for the channel. You can find us at facebook.com/bsforbuild, BS for Build on Instagram, and bsforbuild.com. Once again, thank you very much for watching this video. Please remember to like and subscribe. Peace.